For like ever, the daily commute has been your problem, right? Your car, your train ticket, your stress. But what if that's been the completely wrong way to think about it? We're going to dive into a major shift in how businesses are thinking, turning one of the most draining parts of the day into a massive company asset.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Think about your company. Is the commute treated like a little bonus, a nice-to-have benefit? Or is it a hidden burden, something that's quietly draining your team's energy before they even clock in? The answer to that question says a ton about your company's culture.
And this slide, it pretty much sums up the entire shift we're talking about. You've got the old view on the left, a shuttle is just a perk, maybe something you roll out when the parking lot gets full. But on the right, you see the new reality. A commute system is core infrastructure. It's as vital to your business as your Wi-Fi or your sales team.
So let's dig into that old way of thinking for a second. For the longest time, if a company even offered a shuttle, it was basically just a Band-Aid. The parking lot was overflowing, a new office opened up somewhere hard to get to. It was always a reaction to a problem.
And, framing it as a last resort is exactly why so many of these programs just felt, well, kind of cheap. But fast forward to today, with cities getting more crowded and burnout being a real thing, that old model is actually holding companies back. It's a relic.
So what really changed? Well, the biggest shift is this realization that the commute isn't just a logistical puzzle for the company, it's a deeply emotional journey for the employee, every single day.
Wow, and this quote really hits the nail on the head. A terrible commute doesn't just magically disappear the second someone walks through the office doors. Nope, it sets the tone for their entire day. And that stress, it follows them all the way back home, draining the energy they should have for their families and themselves. It's like a hidden tax on their well-being.
So what do people actually want? It's not some fancy bus with the company logo slapped on it or a complicated app. It's the simple things, the fundamentals. Knowing the ride will be on time, feeling safe, having a comfortable seat, and not worrying if the bus is going to break down. When a company gets these basics right, that shuttle stops being just a vehicle. It becomes a powerful message that says, we value your time and we care about you.
And that right there brings us to this whole new way of looking at it. Thinking about the commute system as carefully designed infrastructure, not just a bunch of buses.
Okay, let's be super clear here. When we say a modern shuttle system, we're not talking about a public bus route. This is a private, dedicated network designed from the ground up for one specific group of people, your employees. The key difference is that everything, the route, the schedule, all of it is optimized just for them.
A really great system is built on these 5 pillars. It all starts with the employee experience, right? It has to be predictable, safe, and comfortable, non-negotiable. But it also has to make sense for the business. That means you need smart cost controls, and this one's crucial. It has to be fair, so everyone has equitable access.
And look, don't underestimate the power of design. Seriously. You can offer a free ride, but if the experience is just plain unpleasant, bumpy ride, terrible seats, no AC, people will just get back in their cars. The quality of the journey is the feature. It's what makes the whole thing work. Okay, so we've talked about the employee side. Now let's flip over to the strategic payoff for the company. This is where we completely bust the myth that a shuttle program is just another line item on the expense report.
The results here aren't just fuzzy feelings. They're tangible. You can actually measure them. When you solve the commute problem, you're not just getting people to work on time. You're building a more loyal workforce that's way less likely to leave, which is huge in a competitive market. And you're giving them the mental space to be productive from the moment they walk in. It's a total win-win.
And hey, for anyone who still thinks this is just a feel-good perk, check this out. There's a real business case. You can literally calculate the return on investment. You weigh the cost to the program against hard savings, like no longer needing to lease that extra parking garage. Then you add in the massive value you get from higher productivity and lower turnover. Suddenly, it's not an expense, is it? It's a strategic investment in your people.
And what's so cool is that this isn't some rigid, one-size-fits-all solution. The technology is evolving so fast. We're talking flexible, on-demand shuttles for hybrid work schedules, sustainable electric fleets, and even smart routes that solve that tricky first and last mile problem, getting people from their homes to the main transit hubs. The goal is to build a system that's efficient, equitable, and ready for the future of work.
Okay, so finally, how do you actually get this right? Because you can have the most advanced technology and the most perfect routes, but if you miss the human element, the whole thing can fall flat.
So what's the secret sauce? It really comes down to two things. First, leadership has truly be on board and champion the idea. And second, and this is huge, you have to design it with your employees, not just for them. When people actually have a say in the routes and the schedule, it becomes their system. That sense of ownership is what really drives success.
You know, when you strip it all away, it boils down to this one simple, powerful idea. A great commute program isn't really about transportation. It's about removing a major point of friction from an employee's daily life, freeing up their mental energy so they can show up as their best, most focused selves.
So that brings us to the final question for you to think about. We've seen how the commute has gone from being a personal headache to a strategic opportunity. The real question for your business isn't if you should address it, but how. What's the single biggest piece of friction in your employee's daily journey, and what are you ready to do to remove it?